Ben Higgins, you might know him as B.T. Higgins. He is an author, a children's author. He's written several books, and so he's an amazing teacher. He was a teacher for several years in the public system, right? He's also a homeschooling dad. And so these are a rare breed, you guys. There are homeschooling dads out there. My husband was one of them for about a year and a half. So let's welcome Ben Higgins.
As a busy writer, 5 a.m. is my only window where I can actually write and not have all of the responsibilities of the rest of, being a stay-at-home dad and homeschooling kind of get in the way. So I had an epiphany at 5 a.m., which is when all the good thoughts occurred to people like me, anyway. Maybe a different time for you. I was heading towards my writing desk. And I had all these thoughts because I was writing a book about fixing education, and I was about 6 months into it, 5 or 6 months, and I must have woken up my wife because she woke up and she told me that the bathroom sink was not draining very well, and it was clogged again. So she notified me of this and then offered very generously to write me a sticky note reminder to take care of it, which in case you're not sure what that means fix the sink. And so I got the message, and so I got detoured from the writing desk to the bathroom sink, which had been clogged again. And that's when I had my epiphany. I had the bowl, I got the P-trap out, and I got the chopstick where I was kind of drilling out the disgusting hairball. I got kind of a snotty, moldy hairball, really gross. Really gross. I don't know why I'm talking about it in front of people. But I realized then that the design of the sink was horrible. You know the little auto plugger thing where if I wanted the water to stay, I put it down, and then if I want to drain it, well, that puts a little finger right through the drain, and what does that catch? It catches every single hair, and then what grows on every single hair? I don't even know what that stuff is. It's disgusting. So it flopped out of the bowl and was sitting there, and I took a chopstick and lifted it up. It was like 15 inches long, and of course, I should have thrown it away. But instead, I put it in a bowl and took a picture of it, and then decided to put it on the cover of my book. It's perhaps the best image of what we're talking about, which is the education system as we have it is flawed in terms of the design, like a bathroom sink that catches new hairballs and grows mold on them every 3 months. And we can do something about that, but we have to kind of identify what are the problems with the educational system, and we need to start to see it like a snotty hairball in our sink. What would all of us do with a snotty hairball in the sink? We would throw it in the trash. We need to start to see the design flaws of the system as something like a snotty hairball that we just need to get rid of, as opposed to just tolerate it a little while longer. It's the status quo, we'll just stick with it, okay? So the title here is 16 Reasons Why the Public Education System is Like My Clogged Bathroom Sink. Number 1, if we follow the money, $640 billion are spent per year on K-12 education, and according to government statistics, 40 to 50% of that never really reaches the classroom. That's half the pizza that doesn't reach the kids. That's admin, building, safety, transportation, and what I like to call the leeches, which I'll get back to later. I don't think we should be satisfied with that. It's like having a water main going from the water treatment plant to the city, but everyone's got a straw stuck into it, sucking out half of the water before it gets to the first customer. That's a problem, in my opinion. Number 2, suboptimal groupings. I might add arbitrary and suboptimal groupings. All of our groupings within the public school system are based on age or zip code or academic level, as if that's the only way that we could subdivide learning groups, as if that's the most effective way for any kid to learn. It's really a recipe for disaster. Imagine a chef takes every single ingredient in the entire kitchen, every spice, every meat, every bread, every noodle, and just throws it into one pot of soup. Are we going to get a good soup out of that? No. It's going to be pig slop, probably. But at the very best, what we can hope for is just average. And that's what we're getting. We're just getting average soup because we're just going for suboptimal groupings. Number 3, approved modes of thinking. Okay, you got three ways of controlling the modes of thinking. The college that trains the teachers, the curriculum that they teach from, and then the administrators who make sure that everything is taught according to plan. That is what shapes the teachers and what they're able to do. No matter what they go in, with what perspectives they go in, teachers are shaped by those things. And so we really need to take a closer look at who's teaching, what is being taught, because whoever controls those two things steers the course of your child's future. And so it's a big deal. Number 4, ridiculous requirements. Public school classroom, they teach kids how to tolerate ridiculous, mind-numbing, pointless tasks and endless repetition. In my opinion, the DMV would not even be possible if we hadn't all learned how to deal with these things in school so that we would tolerate them in the real world.
I see that, yeah.
Number 5, central planning. Now, when I hear those two words, I have like a guttural negative reaction because anyone who's making a decision for a huge number of people, it's impossible to have it be the right decision. Amen. So we need to have a sense of those two words. Central planning, skepticism should be at the best. Even if they're making good decisions, we should be skeptical. On average, we should be afraid that they're going to make the next decision badly. In reality, we should have a sort of disdain for it because in recent times, the decisions have been so negative. Central planners make layers and layers and layers of fences. They fence everyone in. That's what happens to cattle. Students aren't cattle, in my opinion. Number 6, this one's a crime. I mean, theoretically. Destruction of love of learning. The old system is antiquated. It's a factory model. Every single student goes on the belt and goes through every lesson, every subject, every day, right on schedule, right like every single other student. And the unintentional result of this is that they lose their love of learning. There's nothing more important to preserve in a little kid than their love of learning. Because once you get out of the classroom, that's the only thing that's going to help you learn the things that you actually need in life. Because we couldn't possibly imagine all of the subjects that every kid is going to need. We need to cultivate their ability to figure it out when they figure it out. Okay? Love of learning. It's a crime that we destroy that. Number 7, student management. You know, there's a problem for concentrated school models. Kids are chaos makers. You can't avoid it. It's a natural human behavior. And sometimes it's just a response to like the strict structures of a classroom. But either way, whether it's just a natural enthusiasm or it's those unyielding structures, there's an unfortunate byproduct. That the teacher becomes the babysitter, the teacher becomes the crowd control technician. All that time and energy is wasted. As a teacher for 12 years, my guess is 20% of the time, and that's maybe being conservative, is completely swallowed up just by management stuff. And that's only necessary because we have these big, concentrated systems. It's a design flaw. Number 8, bad socialization. Public schools are not designed for socialization any more than a veal barn is designed to have the calves frolic and run. Kids are punished and rewarded based on their ability to resist the urge to socialize. So it becomes like prison rules. You know, sneak it in during the passing time, a little gossip on the way, you can get there before the bell. That's not a natural socialization. We should have a separation of that. When it's time to work, let's work. And then let's have time that's just for that. That doesn't fit in the public school model. It just wouldn't work because there's design flaws. But we can fix it. Next one, number 9, security risks. This is tragic. The result of student populations being in any one building increases social persecution, problematic experiences, social outcasts, the victims of bullying, and even just the failures to fit in. It is the social caste system that's made in high school. It's just an artificial system. It's not even correlated to real life. And yet they think it's so important that that their whole social view of themselves rests on it. And because that system is just not made for individuals, lots of people are hurt by that. And sometimes they'll turn to either bad behavior or, in the tragic sense, it's violent behavior or those extreme cases that we see on the news. Next one, 10, inflexibility. School subjects rarely fit demands of the real world. They might try, maybe 100 years ago they did, but our world is changing like this. It's like every week there's a change, and we need a system that is not designed to just aim for what used to be needed. We need a system that's so flexible, like a race car, it could take turns, as opposed to some, super taker that could just barely make the turns. We need to redesign because there's design flaws. Number 11, maleducation. The system straight up undermines many families' belief systems, ethics, and priorities. Number 12, political activists. Public schools are designed to steer the nation. They were even when they were first designed. But what's happened is over time they've started to steer us in worse and worse directions. Things like forging left-leaning voter bases or raising political activists, just tearing down institutions and traditions, and then trying to establish some new order that they've got a vision for. They've gotten us steering in a wrong direction. We shouldn't accept that. Number 13, negative influences. I see two. First is the system itself, the toxic philosophies endorsed by school districts, universities, and all of the influencers that control those different things. And then, unfortunately, there's bad influences that parents aren't even able to control just in the seats around your student. The other students can become a bad influence. The problem is this: parents have no say, no control, and honestly, most times they don't even know it's happening until it's already too late. These are design flaws. These are the clog in the bathroom sink. Number 14, conflict of interest decision-making. Teachers use it, unions, politicians, bureaucrats, they're only motivated to expand the system. They aren't motivated to make it better. It's keep the status quo and add a little more. And so if they talk educational reform, it's not about making it more efficient. It's not about making it better. It's about making it bigger. And that's just making more layers of problems. Number 15, questionable curriculum. Warren Buffett said, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. In my opinion, the 2020 pandemic was when the tide went out. Do you agree with me on that?
Yes.
We saw low public school quality. We saw blatant indoctrination, and we saw radical agendas. Number 16, final one, we're almost there. Administration. Our administration has grown so top-heavy. We're slow on the turns. We can't respond quickly. It's a bad design, and it's leading over and over. It's going to lead to the same place. It's leading to a clogged city. So let's get to some solutions. All decisions, this will fix so much. All decisions should be made by individuals who have daily contact with the student, which that decision will affect. In other words, if you didn't see them today, you can't make a decision for them today. That means parents, teachers, and students. Those are the three decision makers in education. It's a recipe for effective education. Any other version is going to be inefficient, and it's going to be heading the wrong direction because it's central planning, not effective education. You with me so far? Let's shift gears, because all that makes sense, and it's all the impersonal system and the problems. But I'm not in this game for the impersonal. I'm in the game for 4 reasons. Those 4 reasons are my little kids. So let's start putting a face to the reason. The wind chime. We have one hanging up in on our deck right under the gutter. And when the wind blows on it, even though it's smaller than this one, all those little chimes get smacked around by the hammer and the little flapper thing, and it's just this beautiful random music. It's this beautiful picture, a better metaphor for every one of our students. They're just like a wind chime. They've got to learn in a random way that's unique to them, and it reacts instantly to the wind of the moment. Well, what happened just on this last melt-off is we got a whole row of icicles right down that thing. We got an icicle that formed right through the middle of the wind chime. And it locked all of the chimes, except I think maybe one, into place. And the flapper and the hammer, it was all just part of the icicle. It was essentially impossible to get any music out of the thing because there was only one position for that wind chime to exist in. You see the correlation to the public school system? The factory system only allows one way to learn, and it takes the music out of most of our students. So what do we need to do? We need to pull that wind chime in the house, melt off the icicle, and then get it back into the wind where it can move and play its music. And that's just natural. That's real human learning, and we've gotten away from that. Why do I care about this? This is the cover of my book that's coming out here. One dad's quest to fix the bathroom sink, redesign school, and save the world. But why in the world would I want to save the world with this? Because we're trying to influence the future. Is there any better way to influence the future than to making sure every single wind chime can play as it was designed to play, so that every kid can learn as he or she is designed to learn? Here's my 4 reasons. Thank you so much.